Hey guys, how are you? So it has been a minute. I think it's been since April of last year that I uploaded any sort of video. I think my last face-to-face that was really a stitching update was my whip parade for 2018. I think. Maybe there was something after that. I know I did, the April one was a vlog. And I also participated in the Stitchy Carousel last year, which was hosted by Sonia, Cat Crazy Creations here on Flosstube, as well as Instagram. I believe she's hosting that again this year, so once I see the video, I'll definitely link it or direct you to it because it was an awesome idea, but I did that. So welcome back for those of you who are here watching me and you've watched me in the past. Welcome if you're new. My name is Carolina. I started stitching in 2015. Well, seriously stitching in 2015. I stitched a little bit when I was 14, did it for about 4-6 months, and then just got caught up with like high school, college, all that. Picked it up in 2015 and I have been in love since. I did start a Flosstube I think later that year. Was probably, I think it was like June or July 2015, and I was a little bit more active at the beginning, then tons of stuff. I was doing my master's. Hubby and I were going through some changes, like we were decided to become parents, going through some stuff with that, getting our little girl. I did have her last February, and since then I haven't really uploaded much. So yeah, if you're new, that's just a quick recap on me. You could go back and watch my initial needleworkers tag if you're interested, or if you have any questions, just put them in the comments below. But yeah, my goal this year is to get back into stitching. My daughter Isabella is turning 1 next month. It's insane. And coming with that is, you know, she's doing a lot better with, you know, staying asleep at night, and I can get a lot more stitching done. Now, if you may notice, if you remember, I mean, this is just a quick view, but I did have a different background before we moved. That was another big thing that happened. We just moved a little bit under 2 months ago. We are in our possible forever home. I think my husband wouldn't mind moving again. He has some ideas about moving somewhere a little bit further north, but I don't know. But if that doesn't happen, this is a really good possibility for us staying here at least for quite a bit of time. It's a wonderful home. We're super happy, and I love it. And one of the great things about it, for me at least, is that we have enough bedrooms that I can have a craft room. It's kind of like my office studio craft room. We definitely needed a room for my husband because he works from home, and so he needs an actual office. And mine's just an added bonus. We actually have the baby's room and a bedroom, a space for a second child, which we do want to have sometime soon. Maybe not quite yet, but pretty soon. And we might be done after that, but we have considered the possibility about having 3 children, and we wanted a lot more, but realistically in this day and age, for our lifestyle, our salaries and all of that, I mean, realistically, probably 2, maybe the 3, but assuming we just have 2 kids, he's in his office and I can keep my craft room. If it so happens, I'll probably consolidate and store some stuff in his closet and maybe get a corner of our bedroom, which is a lot longer than our last bedroom, so I can have kind of like a little area. So we'll see what happens. But for now, I do have a craft room. Eventually I can give you a quick tour. I'm not quite ready to do that yet. Plus, I have so much to talk about and I blab a lot. That's something that if you haven't noticed already and you're new, you will find out quickly. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about my stitching plans and a little bit, maybe I'll share with you some finishes that I had last year. I didn't stitch a ton after Isabella was born, but I did get some stitching done. I'll talk about how I'm planning on organizing my stitching, and yeah, just show you a bit of what I've got. So let's go ahead and move on. So in the past few years, I participated in Stitch from Stash, which is a really great way to minimize or control our spending, which for many of you, you know that it can be quite excessive if we're not careful. So if you want to monitor that, a lot of people sometimes go into stash diets or no buy months, no buy years, and that can be quite extreme, and it can make it really hard to keep up, easy to fall off the wagon, you can say. So one of our fellow Flosstubers, Miss Oh So Crafty Stephanie, she created the idea of Stitch from Stash, where you pick a budget, $25 or less a month. You could pick $0 if you wanted, but you have the option of getting yourself a little bit of a cushion if you want to buy some things, and you would control your spending that way. And I'm not sure if there's some prizes involved with that. There might be. I think there is. And also when you finish things, you get credits. Now, credits, it's just, you know, like play money, I guess you could say, because you don't actually get paid every time we finish something. Wouldn't it be great if we did? But we don't. So, you know, realistically, if you want to spend that money, you personally decide how you want to go about that, but it's a way to motivate you to finish stuff. Like, okay, I finished something, like I've earned the right to buy something else, which I like to kind of work that way. I'm pretty good about spending overall. I did have a period when I first started and I was discovering all the things you can get, all the fabrics and all the threads and Etsy and all the designers, that of course I went crazy. But after that, I've been very calm about it. I just kind of buy what I need. Every once in a while I'll splurge, and then I'm like, oh, I really need to watch myself. But in general, I just kind of buy what I need. Or if I really want to start something, I'll buy stuff for that, as long as it's not excessively expensive. So for this year, I decided not to participate because there really was no reason to. Like last year, I just wasn't even stitching enough to merit being in it, you know? Like, I started in and I was all organized about it, and I mean, I just had a baby. Like, I was taking care of her all the time. There was really no reason to be in it. And this year is kind of similar. We just bought our home, so we're really focused on getting stuff for the house that we want. We have a yard now, there's a pool, there's a lot going on with the house, which is wonderful, but it does come with a lot more things to maintain and think about that maybe we wouldn't have prior. So yeah, I just kind of like, I don't really need to, so I decided to do that. One thing I did decide to participate in is Year of Whips. So very quickly, if you don't know what Year of Whips is, it's a sort of challenge, I guess you could say, put forth by one of our, again, fellow Flosstubers, the Soulful Stitcher, Melanie Watkins. She's got a Facebook group, Soulful Stitching, so you can join on there. And you pick well, there's two ways. You can do kind of your own thing, your own Year of Whips. You pick how many projects you want to finish, what your goals are, and you're just there to kind of motivate each other and support each other. But she initially created it because we're also focused, like when we create events, a lot of times sales and starts, it's all about starting stuff, starting something with this new design, or starting this new pattern, starting a Halloween pattern, starting a Valentine's Day pattern, starting an animal pattern, whatever. And it's all about starting, which for some people that really works, and whatever, it's your deal, it's your stitching. But many of us do have all these projects we have started that are just sitting around, and we are going to just leave them to start other projects. I mean, yeah, but we want to finish them, right? So her challenge is pick a certain number of whips. Every year it's kind of varied a little bit. This particular year you have to pick a minimum of 18 whips, and the goal is to finish half. Obviously your personal goal could be finish all of them, finish 2/3 of them, whatever it may be. But for her guided challenge, you have to finish half. And you have to kind of check in. She does a check-in every 3 months, so that's a total of 4 check-ins. Your initial check-in, there's an April, a July, an October, and your final. Oh, I guess that's 5, well, not 5 check-ins, 1 initial and 4 check-ins. So you kind of show how you're doing, show the progress. And this year she actually added intermittent prizes that you can win at the first and second checkpoint. I'm not sure if at the 3rd checkpoint. And then obviously at the final. So I decided I wanted to do that. I did that also last year and I failed miserably. So how am I going to keep organized? I have my planner here. This is very similar, so I'll show you last year's. Last year's was this. Those are my 20 6 whips. And I actually finished, if you look at my finishes here, I believe that's 6, 4, 5, 6, 7. I finished 7. But I did finish some other things that weren't on your whips. So, I mean, I finished more than 7 things, but I did finish 7 of my year whips. So, yeah, so I did something very similar for this year. I don't even have the 20th one I added on here, so I do need to add it. But yeah, I'm very, very excited about it, and I really want to finish all of them. I believe, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 15 that are just full whips and 5 that are partials. So 3 of those 5 are sections of a cell, and 2 of those are pages of a heaven and earth design. Now I don't have all of them to show you because, as I mentioned, I just moved recently and I had my whips in a big pillowcase, and to be honest, I had a momentary freak out earlier because I could not find them. I'm like, what happened to these projects? But I know they didn't get left behind, and I know that I saw them somewhat recently. So, like recently as in, I know we have had to be in this house by that date. So I know they're in the house, and I think they just got shuffled around when I was moving stuff. So I won't have every single whip to show you. I think I only have 1 whip in there actually that I haven't been able to show you, and that's the heaven and earth design. So I'll probably show that in a future video, unless I find it within a close amount of time. I'm just trying looking around and seeing if I just missed it or something. But anyway, I'm gonna like waste my time looking for that. So I just will show that when I can. So actually what I never did, I will show you some of my finishes from last year. I think you'll enjoy seeing that. Then I'll go forward into my plans. I do have to say, sorry for this video being so scattered. I'm definitely out of practice because it's been forever, and I have a little bit of time because my husband is with my daughter and he's taking her to see grandma and just giving me a little time, which is really, really sweet. So I'm gonna go ahead and film this before they get back, and hopefully the next one will be a lot more calm and a lot more put together. So I'll see you in a bit with my finishes. Okay, so most of my finishes I have here to show you. One I do not, so I will insert a picture, and I'll go ahead and do that first. So the first thing that I wanted to show you is I stitched it mid-year, and it was a gift from my teammates. So if you don't already know, I am a teacher, and I had 4 other people on my team last year. So I stitched Lizzie Kate's Teaching is a Work of Heart for each of them, and I varied it just a little bit in the finishing and in some of the stitches. So you'll see in the picture there's the writing, a button, and then some books. So on the books I made each spine a different stitch, like one I did cross stitches, one I did satin stitches. I don't remember what the other 2 were, but I varied the stitches. So I will throw up a picture of that here. So other than that, that's the only one that's kind of out of order because I just wanted to get the picture out of the way. But the first thing I finished, I'm pretty sure it's the first thing I finished. It might have been the second. So these 2 might have interchanged, is Quotes to Live By. This is a Sal by Emma Congdon. She is a UK designer. She's also known as Stitchrovia. That's her Etsy store name, but she uses her name when she stitches for magazines, which she does often. This was a Sal from her Etsy store, and it's Quotes to Live By. And I think I've shown this before, but I wanted to go ahead and recap. So this was released 1 quote a month for 9 months. Or was it 9 months? Or because I know the first 2, well, yeah, because this isn't really a quote, this is just a title. But these 2 were released together, and then you got the following 8 afterwards. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or something like that, or 6, 7, 8, 9. But yeah. So I had a lot of fun with this. I started by changing the quotes background. That was in pink, and I was just not a fan. So I did it in purple, And then I kind of modified the colors for the first coat, and I used the variegated thread in here. That's actually the recently new Coloris DMC release. And then I'm like, I'm gonna do that for every quote. So I actually personalized each of my quotes and followed a different color scheme. I picked a variegated thread. Most of these were Coloris except for the last one. I just didn't find one that I liked that went with the colors I'd already chosen, so I used an older DMC. It was one of their variations instead of the Coloris. But all the other ones are Coloris. So you can see January, February, March, April, May, and then the other 4, I don't remember the order, but there was this one, that one down there, that one down there, and that one up here. So there's that. I'm probably going to frame this myself. I'm thinking of doing the lacing myself. I've never done lacing before. I have done pinning. I did okay, but I think I'd like to lace this one because it's a much larger piece. So if you have a good lacing tutorial, please shoot me a comment down below. I would love to go watch it and try and follow it because I think I'm going to try that with this, and I'm going to frame it myself. So I'm really excited about that. Alright, so the second finish that I had is actually already fully FFO'd, and it is upside down. This is Sunrise Laguna Mermaid by Nora Corbett, and I am so excited about this one. I actually have her sister that I want to finish this year. She was a Year of Whips last year, but I just did not get to her. And I'm so excited. Originally, I didn't like this one as much as the other one. The other one drew my attention first. Not so much because of the colors, because it's actually really cool that this mermaid has a different color tail, which I think is lacking a lot in our design, available mermaid designs, because most tails are green, blue, aqua, which is understandable, but it does get a little repetitive, especially because I love stitching mermaids. I love it, but I noticed quite a few similarities in them. So I'll probably, as I stitch more patterns, I'll probably make more deviations with them just to make them a little bit more unique. But I just didn't like the pose as much as the other one. I thought, I don't know, but in the end, I love it. This is what it looks like. I made some modifications. She was holding like a little boat here. I didn't really like how that looked, so I just removed it. Also, her hair is a greenish bluish seaweed color. That's what it looked like to me on the cover, like the sample picture. But when I looked at the color, it was just like a dark gray color, and the number escapes me, and normally this is a number I know because I use it for so much. Is it $37.99, or that always confused the dark brown and the dark gray. But the dark gray, it might come to me, you're probably yelling it at me, but you guys know which ones I'm talking about. The very, very dark gray and the very, very dark brown. Well, this one was the very, very dark gray, and I just thought that did not look good with this pattern at all. So I switched it to the color I thought it was meant to be, and I like it so much better for it. She also had some bits of hair that whirled forward, and again, I didn't really like the look of that. I like this sort of cleaner look, so that's what I decided to do. And then her beads here, they curled all like over. I didn't like how they looked, basically, so I made the like spindles of it shorter, and I like it so much better for it. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. Oh, I remember my other change. There's only one set color orange beads, and I decided to use 2 because I like the transition a little bit more. The border looked variegated to me in the cover picture, and it was just one color of DMC. It was like one, I want to say like 150 something, or maybe it was like 211, one of those really light purples. And it kind of faded into my fabric, which this, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a picture of this plus 28 count Lugana I got at my LNS. It's kind of like a yellowish, whitish dye. I like it. It looked really good, and it fit the theme of sunrise and all of that. So I used a Weeks Dye Works called Lilac, and it gives it just enough subtle variation, and it was dark enough that it looked good on the fabric. So there's that. And I love this frame. I think it's perfect. It goes really well with just a light few splashes of teal aqua-ish blue on the pattern. My LNS has the same frame in a darkish sort of green color that goes really well with the colors in Moonlight Laguna Mermaid, which we'll see later on because she is a whip this year. So I think they'll look really good together. These are going to go in my daughter's room. It was in my daughter's room in the old house, but right now we're still kind of setting everything up. So I didn't want to, you know, put anything up on a wall yet until I really am sure where I want these to go. Also, she's in the smallest room right now because it's the closest to our bedroom, and while she is sleeping a lot better, she definitely still wakes up at night either wanting a bottle or just, you know, needing to be kind of put back down to sleep. So it's just nicer, you know, because it's the closer walk. But eventually she'll go in the second bedroom and she'll have a lot more space there. And plus, when we have our new little one, which I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, but I don't know, a year, maybe 2, we'll want them in that room, you know, so we can quickly get to them. So I don't know, maybe I'll just prop these up on her bookshelf or something, maybe with a stand or something real nice, until she gets into her sort of permanent room. I don't know, I haven't decided, but for now it's just kind of in my craft room. But I'm very, very happy with this, and I can't wait for her sister to be done, because I think it's going to look awesome, and I can't wait. So the next finish I want to show you guys for last year is what I like to call my maternity leave piece. When I was on maternity leave, I did have times where I could stitch where either my husband was watching her, or parents were helping out, or, you know, I was just, you know, the baby did sleep a lot, and especially at the beginning, because I did have a C-section, I was kind of recovering from that. I did have some stitchy time, and I stitched most of these while I was on maternity leave. Definitely finished after I had already gone back to work. But yeah, so I saw this come out in Cross Stitch Crazy magazine. I had wanted something. I don't know if it was this, because this, I don't think this was the first magazine, but I was looking online and I saw the option for the online subscription, and I just decided to go for it. I told my hubby, I'm like, hey honey, you know, I really want to try this magazine. I get the first month free. You know, maybe if it works out, I'll look into purchasing the copies when I want them off Barnes & Noble, something. And my hubby's like, you know what, just get it, it's fine. It was, I think it's $30, so just a little bit over for the year. So yeah, I've kept the subscription, and most of the time there's at least one thing in the magazine that I like, which is, I mean, pretty good. So, you know, I've kept it, and I really have enjoyed a lot of what's come out, so I'm very excited about it. So this is by Emma Cogden, who, again, as you can tell because I've already stitched something else by her, she's one of my favorite designers, and there's so many patterns by her that I want to stitch that I don't think I'll ever be done stitching her stuff. But this is in Cross Stitch Crazy, I don't remember, March 2018 edition. I'll throw it up on the screen somewhere. The magazine, the issue, either the date or the issue release number, or both. I'll stick it somewhere up on the screen, and you know what, in the future I'll probably close that door when I'm filming if I decide to keep this angle. And that way I'll have some white space to like throw information up, which I tend to do often because I'll talk about a thread color or something and I won't know the name, so I always try to put it somewhere on the screen. Anyway, so this is called Shoot for the Moon, or yeah, I think it's just called Shoot for the Moon, and here it is. I stitched it pretty much as it was presented in the magazine on navy fabric. Actually, if you give me a minute, I got foam core and I haven't even used it to put behind my projects. So here it is. This is all the called for colors, including the DMC Light Effects Metallic, which, yes, it's not the best, but I figured out a way to use it that works for me, and it's not so bad. Of course, Kreinik and Petite Treasure Bait are a lot easier to use, and if you are thinking about it, definitely go for those. But if you have this already, no biggie, it works. I feel like I'm more zoomed in than I was before, but maybe I don't know. So this is what it looks like. The only change I made is here. It's supposed to say shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. I've never heard the quote that way. I've seen it places, I've seen it online, I've heard it, and there's always kind of like a comma after shoot for the moon, whether it's written or just sort of implied, but I've never seen an and in there. I guess as I said it, it flowed a little bit better, but looking at it, it just didn't work for me. So I decided to remove the and what I did is I took this shooting star and I flipped the pattern upside down and I stitched it here, and then I added some of the smaller backstitch stars just to fill up the space, and I like it and I'm very, very pleased with it. Actually, I lied. I changed this to be a green color, like a minty green, because when I looked at the pattern, like at the model on the magazine, that's what I saw, and when I pulled the threads it was more of a bluish color, which was very pretty. But I do that, as you can tell, I did that with my mermaid. A lot of times the appeal of a pattern for me is a color that I see. So when I pull a color and it's not what I envisioned, sometimes I'm like, oh, that makes more sense, or it really works. But sometimes I'm like, no, I want what I envisioned, and what I envisioned was this being minty green. So I did change that. I have no idea what the thread is called, like what number it is, and I don't think I have it written down. I'm really, really sorry. But if you like that change, I would suggest just pulling some of the minty greens from your DMC stash and going from there. But honestly, it looks kind of similar to what the color is. It's just, for me, I was so set on that's why I did that. But I think if you use all the called for colors, it'd be fine. And I'm really, really happy with this piece. This was FFO'd as a canvas, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm eventually going to get a staple gun. I had one. I had like the cheapest staple gun of life, you guys. It was partially plastic, which sounds ridiculous even as I say it, and it just broke the last time I tried to use it. My husband said, you know what, you just need a better staple gun. Maybe we'll even use it in the future to reupholster something. I don't know. But even if we don't, I'll probably use it for FFOing some things. So I just haven't gotten around to it. So whenever I'm ready, I'll probably do that and mount this onto a either 8x8 or 10x10 canvas. And yeah, I really like it. I'm very, very happy with it, and it went really quickly. And that's something I really like about Emma Cogden's patterns is, yes, there are some rather large areas of color, but they really work out for pieces where you want that, or you need that, or you want some stitching, but you don't want to be thinking very hard. You don't want to have to be constantly looking at a pattern. This was something where I could kind of stitch the outline and just go, which is why it worked so well as a maternity leave piece. When I was recovering from my C-section, I was watching some movies when I could, and just kind of laying around a lot the first 2 weeks and feeding Isabella when I could. And then even after I was getting up, there were a lot of times where I was just kind of sitting there, laying down and stuff. We did have a 2-story house before we moved, townhome, and a lot of carrying upstairs my husband did, and I would sit and do fold laundry, and then when I was done, good pull stitching. I did a lot of pumping for Isabella, and you just kind of sit there. So I did some stitching on that. So this is a great piece for that kind of stuff. If you have a long commute where you are not the driver, this kind of pattern works really great for that. So I was really thankful for this piece. I enjoyed stitching it. It gave me something to do, and it was nice to finish it. So the next one that I have was kind of an unexpected finish. I had it as my year of whips, and it was one of the pieces that I didn't think I was gonna finish. Which is funny because some of the pieces I didn't think I was gonna finish, I did, and some of the ones I really wanted supposedly to finish, I didn't even touch. So this is the Magical Creatures calendar. This was a mystery stitch along for Clouds Factory. I believe it was the 2015 one, maybe the 2014 one. I'm not 100% sure. I started it in 2016. I think I started in 2016 when Adele did a stitch along for it on Facebook and just said I had this pattern, I didn't really get to stitch it. Whoever has it and wants to stitch it with us will do. So yeah, I went ahead and did that. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2016, and I just never got around to finish it. I got halfway. I did up to my favorite block, which I think was the problem, because then I didn't want to keep going. There were other blocks coming up that I liked, but like my favorite one was done, and I think that was part of me like being like, okay. And then I just kind of let it slide. But I put it in my year of whips, and you know what? I finished it. So here is what it looks like as a whole. I know you can't really see the detail, but I'll pull it in. So this is on 32 count Mystic Lugana by Silk Weavers. I did not buy it directly from them because they're not most reliable as far as time. I got it off of eBay, so yeah. But I'm pretty sure if you type it in, I see this one pop up a lot, so you might be able to get it. But yeah, it's blue and purple dyed fabric, so I thought it worked really well for like fantastic creatures. Fantasy creatures, yeah. So the border is done in Mauve Sail cotton in the color Pride. Sometimes it looks like you can't really see it, but you actually can. It's just the lighting. And I am losing my sun. The way this room is set up, if I set you over here, there's a window right behind me. There's also a window right there, but the sun is coming in from here, but it's afternoon time. So see, I feel like I'm zoomed in, but I haven't zoomed in. I don't know, guys, I'm going crazy. But yeah, so anyway, I apologize for the lighting. So let me try and go quicker. So this is January, February, March, April, May, June. That was my favorite block right there. Actually did get July done now that I think about it, and then I stopped. So I'd done that one, I'd done the mermaid, decided to move on. Finally picked it up, finished August, September, October, November, and December. I'm so happy about this. I actually stitched, oh gosh, how am I gonna do this? For Isabella down here, but the way my mom was going to finish this, it was hiding the For Isabella, so I have to take it out and put it somewhere else, maybe inside the December block or the November block. Maybe the November block, since there's some space down here. I think I might do that, and then have her FFO it. She was gonna do like a rocking chair sort of slip-on cover. I might still do that. I mean, Isabella likes still being rocked. I don't know when that'll stop, but I mean, I probably put it somewhere either way. So I don't know. But that was my second to last finish of last year. And then one I was really excited about. Actually, I have one more, but I don't have it to show you. So I'll talk about it in a minute. Well, I guess I can talk about it now, since technically that one was my second to last. So all year I had been working on a stocking for my daughter Isabella. I started with a needlepoint stocking. I had picked it because I liked the design. It was cute. Very quick recap. My family, my husband's family, is very large, and they've had the stocking tradition forever. I didn't even know about Christmas stockings really until I moved to the United States, and really got into it when I became part of my husband's family, and it was such a big thing. And before, all of the family lived here in South Florida, or almost all of it, so every Christmas was huge. Now a lot of the family has moved to North Florida, so one Christmas is usually smaller with the people that are here or pretty close to here, and the other year it's the North Florida peeps come down, and it's pretty much everybody, not 100% everybody, but a lot of us. So this past Christmas was one of those Christmases, and we had over 40 stockings. Not all of those are stitched. Family members get stitched stockings, guests get a stocking, but usually it's just like a nice stocking, but still a store-bought stocking that we just kind of have on reserve. The family has an actual stitch stocking with their name on it, and I wanted to make one for my daughter that was unique. And with tons of people, about 37 of those stockings, maybe not 37, maybe about 34, 35 were from family members. So it was a stitch stocking. It wasn't a generic stocking or anything like that. And you guys know, like, as far as kits, which is usually what we use for stockings, because there's some really nice stocking kits out there that can kind of narrow your design choices. I wanted my daughters to have a cute design. I wanted it to be unique. So I decided to go needlepoint route, started working on it, did not like it. Ended up picking a different stocking that was available as a kit, but I actually just bought the pattern and started stitching like crazy. It actually went pretty fast because it had a lot of blocks of one color. This was a stocking by Joan Elliott called Heavenly Christmas. It is a red and green Christmas angel stocking. It's wonderful. And I stitched it right up to Christmas morning. Yeah, actually, did I finish it Christmas Eve? I think I finished it Christmas Eve, but we put it together because I have no idea how to use a sewing machine. I have one, I need to learn how to use it, but I don't. My mother-in-law put it together that morning very quickly, pretty roughly, but looks fine, just roughly for, you know, she knows, just like we know when we do things quick. And so the eldest aunt who started the whole stocking thing took it with her to her home, and she's making it, you know, decently cut, you know, put together. So that's why I don't have it. So I will throw a picture of that here. And that was my second to last finish, and wow, that was so much fun, but like a little bit stressful because I was working right up to the last minute with that. Now, the last finish that I had, I eked out right at the very end of the year. I think it was like the 29th or the 30th. I had this pattern that I created maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I started stitching it, and my goal was just to do something that I'd wanted but I hadn't seen. So I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Huge! So, I mean, if I actually started talking, I'm not even going to start talking about it because I'll keep going and going. This is the book titles, the keyword of the book title. I had seen a pattern like this, but the font was identical and I just didn't like how it looked. I wanted it to be more unique. So, stone, chamber, prisoner, goblet, order, prince, hallows. Each of the titles is in a color of reminiscent of the title Harry Potter in the US editions of the original US editions of the books. So we had gold, silver, green, orange, blue, purple, and red. It's not exactly matching. Originally I wanted us to do this in the satins because I thought it would really pop, but the DMC satins are really tough to work with. I've learned how to work with them and I'm doing so much better now, but it would still be a lot of stitching. Like, I use them in smaller sections. For something like this massive, I think it just would not look neat, and that's what I was running into. It did not look neat. so I just decided to use the cotton. So it doesn't pop like I wanted to, but it still pops a lot. So this pattern I just kind of shared. A lot of people liked it and they mentioned like, oh, you know, like I would love to get that. I pay for that. So I was like, what? So I am planning on trying and making an Etsy store. I don't know how prolific I would be with designing. I actually have a lot of ideas. I'm a new mom, pretty new mom still. My daughter's just about to turn 1. I do have a full-time job, so I don't know how that's gonna go, but I'm gonna try. But this would definitely be something I'll throw up on there when I'm ready. We have just gotten through selling our old house, getting this new house. So now that the dust is settling, I might go ahead and take the plunge and get designing software. I'm almost convinced it's gonna be PC Stitch, but someone mentioned another one and I don't remember the name of it. But I remember being intrigued. I think it was on Instagram, and I asked her like, what's that? Like, how do you feel about that? And she said, you know, she likes it. And she had actually, I think she was designing something herself, and she'd asked around and heard that was a good one. So I might try and dig up that post if I remember where it is and see if I can download the trial and test it out. But if I really can't find it, or if I decide I like PC Stitch, I'll just go with it. And I'll try and put this together. And I don't know, maybe, you know, have some fun trying to set up an Etsy store. So yeah, I'm really, that just made me feel so nice, because this was so much more work than I thought. Like, you think it's just font. And while I did use pictures online and stuff as inspiration, I worked really hard on this because all these letters are the same length. That was another thing that bothered me. You know, it wasn't even on both sides. I spaced them out and I made the size of the letters different so that it was the same width across. And that was really, really a lot of work for me. So yeah. Alright, so earlier I showed you this. This shows you my year of whips, and I figured as far as stitching plans go, I'll probably just show you these because I do have other projects, but honestly, I'm not really stitching them right now. So I figured, let me just show you what I'm working on and go from there. Okay, so one of the first projects that I want to finish, and I have been wanting to finish this for a while. This was the first large memorabilia I've ever started. After that, I've started 2 other large memorabilias, and 3 small Nora Corbetts. Actually, one of them was started before this one. I finished 2 of those Nora Corbetts, one you just saw in my finishes, and I want to finish 1 Nora Corbett and this memorabilia this year, which, if you didn't know, Memorabilia and Nora Corbett are the same designer. One she releases as herself, and one is tied to Witchelt Imports, which is the memorabilia designs, and they are usually a lot, or pretty much every time, are a lot larger, except for maybe a few exceptions. So this is actually pretty far along. This is, sorry, these are on my Omanic bar frame, so it's kind of hard to show, I guess. Maybe not too hard. But I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to show this. And I think I figured it out. So this is what she looks like so far. All the skin is done. It's done 1/1, and a lot of the main part of the tail is done. Pretty much everything except a few beads. I need to do her fin and her hair. And then she's kind of sitting on a bench. She does have a border, but the more I think about it, the less I think I'm going to do it, which will help in getting her done. That's something I never would have thought of doing before, but I think as I've stitched more, I kind of realized that, you know, you can kind of do your own thing. And that's something my LNS owner encourages a ton, actually. You have actually probably met her. So I live in South Florida, and my LNS is the Cross Stitch Cupboard, and it is an amazing store. If you are ever in Miami or somewhere in South Florida, you need to get yourself to Fort Lauderdale to the Cross Stitch Cupboard and go. The ladies are great, the owners. Our stitchers are great. It's a beautiful shop. And recently exploding on Flosstube, 3 of my very good stitchy friends are just toured it and showed you guys the cross stitch cupboard. So they are the Sunshine Stitchers. If you didn't know, EJ, Gary, and Shelia, they are awesome. They're awesome. So I will link their channel down below, which is funny because they don't need a shout out. They probably have more people watching them than I do because I've been gone forever. But yes, please go check them out if you haven't already. They are a hoot, and let me tell you, that's them. It's so fun to stitch at the cupboard. And they actually did a little video of stitchy time on Saturday in their last video, so you can really see the atmosphere. It's so wonderful. But anyway, yeah, so the designer encourages that so much, like, be yourself, like, enjoy your patterns, change a color, add a color, take away a color, take away a piece, add a piece, and it's fine, and it'll make it your own. And you know, yeah, so I'm probably not going to stitch the border, and I'm just going to really enjoy her so much. And like I mentioned, I loved mermaids. I love stitching mermaids, and this is the very first one that caught my eye. So that's why it was the first one I started. And I really just want to work on her. So the other 2 mermaids I'm working on actually are also creative in a sense. One is a conversion that was shared by somebody online that I am using with, you know, their permission, is in like they've shared it and are allowing people to use it if they so desire. And one is kind of my own conversion that kind of happened last minute. So again, I'm really embracing this, and I think my love of stitching mermaids just led me to that, because there's so many similarities in a lot of the mermaid patterns out there as far as color choices, that it made me want to branch out a little bit. So yeah, so that's why I really embrace changing colors and doing that kind of stuff, because I want my mermaids to be a little bit more unique and not be so repetitive. Okay, a smaller project that I'm working on is Trinidad Santa. This is by Mill Hill. I apologize for the reflection, but it's kind of a pain to take in and out of the material. Plus, it'll be really crinkly. Oh, by the way, there's the cross stitch cupboard information. Just flash that on the screen for you. So yeah, this is part of the Caribbean Santa series. This was last year's release, no, 2 years ago release. Last year was the National Park Santas. I don't know if that's their official name, but they're all after national parks. I just feel like maybe the name was something else. There are now 57 of these by Mill Hill. They are all designed by Sandra Cozzolino, and she designs them 3 a year. So I was seeing to see if her name was on here, but I don't see it. She did design other Santas similar to these for other designers prior. I think I've managed to acquire 1, maybe 2. And at first I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stitch all of them, but some of them are actually really hard to find. So, and I already have 57 Santas to stitch. I want to stitch all of them. I don't know when I'm going to do that, but I'm going to figure it out. So I've stitched 3 so far. This would be my 4th one. They've each been in a different series, so I think after I finish this one, I'm going to try and go back and finish out some of the series. And for a while, like, part of my hobby was just collecting them, and I'm like, you know what, no. Let me finish some of the series, and then I'll go back and stitch, you know, get some more and get them stitched. So this is where I am right now. I pretty much got the bottom half of his body done. There's still floss on here, but I'm pretty sure this is done, so I just need to cut it off. But this is where I am with him so far. So I need to finish the top of his body and the bird, and then do the beading. So that's been sitting like that also for like almost 2 years now, so I really need to get that done. And like, the thing is, once I pick it up, I think I will. I just haven't. And I think that was a big thing last year. Like, this is something I could have knocked out last year. It's on perforated paper. The holes are pretty big. I could knock this out. I just didn't even pick him up. All right, the next one I have to show you is Moonlight Laguna Mermaid by Nora Corbett. This is... sorry about that, the sisters to Sunrise Laguna Mermaid. This is where I am on her. I'm really sorry I don't have the cover pieces. I feel like, do I have it in here? I don't. I'm not as organized as I thought. I'm telling you, I'm super out of practice. I will throw a picture of what she's supposed to look like here. And this is where I am. So I'm actually doing pretty good. I've been working on the border when I've picked her up. Where's my... I'm losing my light, guys. Gotta go faster. So the tail is all done except for, I think, a variegated thread and some beading. Yeah. And there's the border. You can't really see it too well on camera. I can if you zoom in, but it's looking really good. So yeah, I'm excited. This one is on 28 count Jazz Lugana by Picture This Plus, also purchased at my LNS. And I'm super excited to get her done. The biggest thing about this one and Sunrise Laguna Mermaid is even though the Nora Corbetts, they have background and border. And I do want to do the background and the border as you saw with Sunrise Laguna Mermaid. So that's taking a lot longer. A lot of the Nora Corbett mermaids that aren't these two don't have anything else going on in the background, so they're pretty quick. I don't want to stitch every single one, but there's a few others I want to stitch, so eventually, but not at the time. And she does have some extra colors in her Little Mermaids for the tails. There's pink, there's a green one, there's like a purple one. There's a few choices with those, so yeah, very, very excited about that. Two other projects. These two projects that I want to show you are both for my husband. One was actually started by my husband. He has one other thing he stitched, then he picked something else, and he just hasn't stitched. It's not like his hobby, but he's done it before just to kind of do it with me. He just picked something that was larger than he thought, and pretty much one solid color for the most part. So I told him I'd finish it for him, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm actually almost done. I'm not gonna take it out of the hoop. But this is Rebel Scum and Proud. It is obviously a Star Wars pattern. He got just the B, the E, and the L done in Rebel, and I've stitched everything else. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to get this done for him because, you know, it'll be fun. The next one, honey, if you're watching, sometimes he watches, please turn away because you don't know about this and I don't want you to see it until it's done. So this one is a gift for him that was going to be a Christmas gift 2 years ago. And I bought it not realizing how huge it was. Even on 18 count Ada, it would have been, I would have at least needed an 11, what is that size, 11 by 16? That size frame, just to barely fit it. No, not happening. No, I didn't want something that big. So I decided to do a couple things. One, I cut the pattern shorter because there was a lot going on one side of it that I just really didn't think he would appreciate or want or care about. I think it made the design nicer to make it square because of the way it's set up. And I decided to do it over one on 28 count. Yeah, so I messed up. There's a lot of words in this, and 2 words happen to have a T in it, either T or S. I don't remember at this point where it was, but I just know, or I think it was the T. Yeah. So I stitched the T first, and then I went on to stitching the wrong word that went along with it. I was very upset, you guys. And pulling it out took so long. It actually is stitching up really fast, but pulling that 1 over 1 out took so long, I just got completely discouraged. Then I had the baby and went downhill from there. So I'm not gonna say this in case my husband's listening, but I think you can gather what it's gonna say. I'll throw a picture of it up here so you can see what it's meant to say. Not something I particularly would want to stitch, but I know that he would love this. I just know. So there's actually a whole story about it, but I will tell it when it's done. I've told it before, so you can go back and maybe in the whip parade for last year, because I think this was the last project I showed, and I said like, honey, turn it off. But since I have more to talk about, I'm just gonna go ahead and just show you where I am, and then I'll talk about it later on, maybe after I've given it to him or something, because I don't want to risk even spoiling it. But this is where I am with that. So it was this word here, I stitched that T, and then I started stitching that word here, and I didn't realize that's an ending T, and I used the beginning T, and anyway, so it looks like a lot, but it goes really, really fast. So I just need to hunker down and do it, but there's just other things I need to do right now that's not this. So I'm stitching on this when I have the opportunity to. I also have to make sure he's not watching, so he doesn't get spoiled. And yeah, so as I said, not something that's particularly my taste, if I'm completely honest. But he wants it so bad that I couldn't not stitch it for him. So yeah, okay. What else do I have to show you? I have another thing to show you. This is going to be a birth sampler for a friend's baby who was born a few months before my daughter. So that means she's already one. But I just have not been able to. I just haven't been able to. And it should go pretty quickly because they don't want a lot of information on the birth sampler. They just want the name on there. So I actually cut the pattern a little bit shorter so that it didn't look like it had just a bunch of empty space. So this is the pattern. It's an Etsy pattern. So this is going to be a little reindeer. There's a fox and a cute little raccoon. And it's just going to have the name up here. And the border. So normally it was like a longer border, longer than it was wide, which is the opposite for this case, because it had like another row for like the birth information, but they just want the name. So that's where I am now. I can't really show you the picture because it's a digital pattern and I just don't have it available, but I will do my very best to have it available to show you the next time I show this pattern. So yeah, that's where I am with that. I haven't picked this up yet because honestly, like, I have other things I need to get done, which leads me to say I can't show you two of the whips. I'm really sorry, but I know the people they're connected to would see them on here, and they are a complete surprise. And if I leave it just to that, I don't think they're going to know who they even are. But yeah. So I will show those in the future, I promise. I just wanted to mention them in case you were peeking on my, list or something like that. But yeah, so this one, like those two I want to get done before this one because I'm going to have the opportunity to gift those things in just a couple months. So I really need to get them done. So this is the Palco Monthly 2015 freebie. I don't know if they do one every year. I know there's more than the 2015 one, but I don't know how many there are. Let me do it this way. So this is just the name of the month surrounded by little motifs, and I decided to do it in variegated colors, which seems to be the choices that most people have done. And yeah, so I have 3 months done so far. February and March were whips last year. So that's why I said I could do each one as an individual whip, but I wanted to kind of challenge myself, and I'm like, that's kind of easy peasy. Like, I can knock this out in a few hours. If counted together, usually it's 2 or 3 days, but if I really have the time, it's like maybe a couple hours. So far I've got January done, that's been done, and I did February and March last year. So I'm going to do 3 per row, 4 rows. So the last 3 rows are 3 whips. Row 2, row 3, and row 4. I do have the colors picked out, but I'm going to let those be a surprise. They are all variegated from different places. This is a Mosil cotton. These two are DMC variations. I've got a Dinky Dyes I'm throwing in there. I've got some Weeks Dye Works I'm throwing in there. I've got some DMC Coloris I'm throwing in there. That's it so far. I am a little bit hesitant on my November and December colors. There's the only ones I'm not 100% sure about, so maybe there may be another color that I throw in there. But I've got pretty much everything else chosen. So when I get to it, I'll see how the colors I have chosen play together and then make my final decision. But yeah, this is one I'm really enjoying, and when I want a quick finish or something to work on somewhere that's quick, because I can just pick the one color thread for that color, for that month. Yeah, it just goes super quick. And it's nice and easy to work with. Okay, another one that I am working on, this was actually a Christmas gift, is Dog Lessons for People by Lizzie Kate. So this is where I am so far. I am changing the colors to a pink and a blue, because one thing is I feel Lizzie Kate uses a lot of the same colors over and over because she uses a lot of Weeks Dye Works, and I guess the idea is you'll have these colors already in your stash if you like her patterns and stitch them a lot, but I want it to be a little bit more varied, so I decided to do those two colors. It's going pretty quickly, but I'm probably not going to pick it up for a little while, but I definitely still want to get it done this year, so I'm very excited to have it and be working on it. I started it recently, sorry for my reach there, but I'm glad to have the opportunity to work on it here and there, and I'm really looking forward to working on it again and getting it done fairly soon. I have a second Lizzie Kate I'm working on, and that is A Good Marriage. This is a lot older. And I actually ended up having to get this off somebody else. I got it on Stash and Load because this comes as a kit, and I knew I didn't want to use the colors that it came with. So I decided to try and find it from somebody, and I did. And I'm using my own colors. I'm using entirely Gentle Art sampler threads. And I again changed the colors of the words. The motifs are pretty much in the same color they're charted, but a Gentle Arts version of it. This is on a piece of 35 count fabric that I just got at my LNS. And I've got so far A Good Marriage Must Be Created. I'm using red and purple because red is my husband's favorite color and purple is mine. And I love that it's a little bit darker than what the pattern shows. Like it's cute, but it makes it a little bit more serious. One thing that I am going to do is some of the motifs I don't really like. So I changed them to be hearts, that I just designed some different looking hearts on the pattern. Like there's, let's see if I have my sketch in here somewhere. I changed, I think the bird, and then was it the house? I think the bird and the house I changed to hearts. Because I left the flowers because I think the flowers work. And coincidentally, I guess they're tulips, but if you really look at it, it's a heart pattern. And I thought it worked better for what I liked. Not that it's not cute, I like the idea of having the hearts throughout. So one more Emma Cogden I have to show you. Again, I will throw the picture up here. This came out in another magazine from my digital subscription. It was maybe a couple months after Shoot for the Moon was released, and I was stoked. I saw it and I was like immediately in love with it. This is called Strike a Balance, and this is what it's gonna look like when it's done. So I opted for doing all of the black outlining first. Uh-oh, I lost my needle. Actually, I think I know where it is. And I've gotten half of it, the yin, if you so please, of it done, and I'm working on the yang. So the nature, daylight mountain scenery and the nighttime ocean scene. I actually miscounted somewhere down here, and I tell you, I noticed, and I counted again and again and again, and I just couldn't find it. I don't know where I miscounted, but it was obvious that I had, and I caught it early on, but I just couldn't find it. So I did fine, and I did pretty good until right about maybe this area here was affected, like these trees and this mountain. And then some of the clouds here are just a little bit shorter. But because it's so organic, it was really easy to fudge, except for where the sun is. So what I ended up doing is I did the sun first, and then I did the straight rays and then the diagonal rays and stitched around it. So it pretty much, you can't tell that it's fudged, but it's because I kind of had to make it work. I am so stoked to be through with that because it was slowing me down. But now that I'm on this side, it'll be fine. Now what that does mean is that when I get to probably these stitches here, because I think this is where I messed up. There's like little groupings of two stitches. Somewhere there I messed up. Obviously I'm gonna have to fudge it here, but the ocean waves are so organic and flowy that it's not gonna be a problem at all. So I'm stoked. And then I think filling it in is gonna go really, really quickly. So the second to last piece I have to show you, and based on how much time I have left on my camera, I think I'll have to do a clip on my phone. But this is called First Kiss. It's a kit that I got from eBay. If you type in First Kiss, it should come up. I don't have an image to show you because it didn't come with an image. It's just the pattern, but it's a girl and a boy kissing. I'll try to find something and show it in a future video. I just don't have anything right now, and I'm not sure where to find it. And I really do want to get this video edited and up today. So for now, I'll just show you my progress, and hopefully in the future, I'll be able to show you a bit more. So this is one of the stockings that I am working on. This is definitely one I need to finish. I did not bother covering up the name this time because I have been working on this for so long that it was meant to be a surprise, and we finally just told them. So this is going to be for my mom. My mother-in-law is actually making my dad's, and she is almost done, and these have been in the works for 3 years, and I just let myself get carried away. So we just showed them this past Christmas. Listen, we have these for you guys. They're not ready. Mine is like less than half done, but it's going fairly quickly considering how much work there is in this. I just picked it for the design. I thought it looked good. I thought it didn't take that, it looked like it was going to take that long because it had a lot of half stitches in the background, which I do think that part it goes pretty quickly. But all these leaves just have so many color changes that it takes so much time. So it's not so much that like it's a big project on 16 count, and it's a dimensions gold, so you know there's going to be blends and that kind of stuff. There is that to it, but I feel like there are other dimensions gold pieces that probably would go faster than this one, and I chose this one, and it's a lot of work. Had I known, I probably would have picked something else, but it's fine. It'll be fine. It's not so bad, and I'm glad that this is definitely going to be done for this Christmas. I hopefully can get it done a lot faster than that. Like, I don't want it to be like November and I'm freaking out because this isn't done, but we'll see, you know, we'll see what happens. So anyway, there's that one. I decided to film it like this because it'd be easier than just the way I have, because I have it set up on my Lowry and everything. It's ready to go. So that's why I just left it. So on to the rest of the video. Hey guys, so my camera died and I did not think to charge the second battery because, as I said, I'm super out of practice. But here is the last project I have on me to show you. There's a couple more that I mentioned. One, I'm not sure where it is because it's packed somewhere. And the other two I really can't show because it would just give too much away. And I can't really risk even splashing a picture on there. Because the people, not only do they not know what they look like, they have no idea they're getting it. So I can't really talk about it. But this one is a stocking for a baby in the family. I actually have a lot of stockings coming up. I have my mom's due. I have this one. There's 2 weddings. One happened at the very end of last year. One is happening next month. So that's 2 new stockings for me to stitch. So I'm going to have a lot of stocking stitching to do. I'm going to try my very, very best to at least start the other 2. But realistically, I probably won't get them done. I know one of them's already picked out, but I don't know how it looks and how intricate it is, so I'll have to see. This one is not too bad in the sense there's a lot of big blocks of color, and it's not a dimensions kit, it's just cross stitches and back stitches. I don't think there's even half stitches on here, though I've chosen to add some in certain places. Like if you look at this model, some of those corners there don't have half stitches, and I'm just gonna put them in myself. Like where the beard touches the list, it's just a full white stitch. I probably will do half a beige stitch for the paper and half a white stitch for the beard, because I'm just detailed like that. Or like in the hat, like you can see the white sticking through. I'd probably make that half a red stitch and half a white stitch. Anyway, so I'm working on this one. I don't have a lot done. You'll see momentarily. This one I want to get done this year. It's for a cousin that doesn't live in this state, so I'll have to mail it to her. I haven't actually met them, but hopefully I will soon. It's just part of the family that doesn't really live in the area. But yeah, I'm stitching it for them to help out the eldest aunt, so she doesn't have to stitch them all. Eventually, though, she's going to be done with her stitching, so I guess I'll be stitching all of them for a while. I don't know, my mother-in-law is stitching some, so maybe she'll want to help out too. I don't know. Anyway, my point is I want to get this one done as well. I'm not there very far. I've just got a little bit of the list done, and I'll show you that momentarily. So that's what I've got with that one, you guys. Sorry about the lighting. Let me see if I can... The lighting is kind of poor in here. And I'm on my phone now. So anyway, that's all I've got done. It's not a lot, but it's going fairly quickly, honestly. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll get it done. But if I don't, I hope I do get really, really close. Baby won't be one till next year. So worst comes to worst, it's not like they'll know they didn't have a stocking. But it would be nice, especially since I have those other 2 that are definitely coming up. So yeah. That's all the projects I have to show you for this time around. Thank you so much for taking time to look at them. I'll see you in a minute as I say goodbye. That's all I've got as far as that. Hey guys, a little change in angle and lighting here, but this is the best way I could do it on my phone so that it doesn't look too bad. As I mentioned, my camera completely died. My camcorder, which is what I normally record on, but I do have space on my phone, so I'm gonna go ahead and just finish the outro on this. Thank you so much if you watched this video. I'm so sorry it was all over the place, but I'm out of practice. I definitely should be more organized in the future, especially when everything is unpacked and ready and organized and clean, but I look forward to hopefully videoing a little bit more. Last year, you know, when I did have time for myself, I was just stitching. Yeah, so I didn't really have a lot of time to video. And I do want to do that a little bit more this year because I love Flosstube. I just hadn't had time. So if you have any questions for me, let me know. Yeah, comments, whatever, just stick them down below. Thank you again for sticking around with me. Whip Parade, I did want to mention that. As I mentioned, a lot of my projects are pretty much untouched from 2017, you know? I showed you my finishes for 2018, and that was literally what I worked on. I don't think, as I mentioned, I didn't even touch all my Europe whips. There's some projects that are just kind of sitting there. If you'd like to and you're interested, if you watch my whip parade from last year, you will see pretty much all the projects I have except for a select few that are started but aren't really in my whips because I'm just not working on them at the time. I will probably do a whip parade at the end of this year. We'll see. Maybe if things are going as I expect them to, I will finish all of my Euro whips because I set it up to be projects that I could do that with. And I'll actually work on some other stuff, so maybe my whips would actually change significantly. I am going to have a couple starts, so I'll be sharing those throughout the year. I really only have 2 planned starts for this year, which, if you're curious, Long Dong Samplers Castles in the Air, I want to start that at some point, and a Lanart owl pattern that I got at the Hobby Lobby clearance sale. I mentioned the Sunshine Stitchers. They're doing an HL clearance sale, Hobby Lobby clearance sale, in which you stitch a project that you bought in that huge clearance they had last year, and that was one of 2 projects that I bought. As exciting as the clearance was, it was after I'd had baby girl, so seeing as I was on maternity leave, and the US is not where it needs to be at all, and with maternity leave, anyway, yeah, it's an FMLA leave, so you know it's not paid, so anyway, I didn't have the luxury of spending, even though things were amazingly good prices. I only got a couple things because that's what I was able to splurge on, but yeah, so I'm very excited to be stitching more this year. I'm excited to video and share more with you this year. I'm excited about my wonderful friends, the Sunshine Stitchers, starting Flosstube. It just makes me so happy because it's funny. I talked to them about videoing, and you know, I did it for so long, and I'm like, come on guys, come on, and here I am, dropped off the face of the planet, Flosstube wise, and here they are just killing it. So again, if you have not watched the Sunshine Stitchers, you need to go and subscribe to them and watch them because they're awesome. Please watch them. They're so good. And please watch the video, their last video. I don't remember the number. I'm sorry about that. I'll flash it on the screen somewhere because it might not be their latest video anymore by the time you see this video. If you're interested in seeing what the cross stitch cupboard looks like, it's an amazing LNS. If you're ever in South Florida, you really need to go. Karen is amazing. Mary and Diana are amazing. You'll get so much help there, so much love there. They're great. It's a wonderful LNS, and if you need anything and you're looking for something, please call her. Call Karen. She will get it to you. She will mail it out to you. When Lissy Kate was retiring and we were all freaking out, I directed quite a few people over there, and she was able to get them patterns that they were looking for. So she will do anything and everything to make your stitchy dreams possible. I can't say enough about Karen and the cross stitch cupboard. It's awesome. And the Sunshine Stitchers, they're so good. So I hope you enjoyed this. For anybody that's new, I hope I didn't completely turn you off by being so scatterbrained this video. Yeah. I really, really appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. Flosstube is amazing. I will see you hopefully sooner rather than later. Bye.